Well, New York just became the first U.S. state to impose a data center moratorium. On Tuesday, Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order pausing environmental permits for large data centers for 1 year. Now, she says the delay would give state officials time to create new rules to protect the electrical grid, the environment, and communities where developers want to build these centers. President Trump criticized the legislation on social media. He argued data centers are, quote, one of the biggest driving forces in the future for jobs, and that both the taxes and the jobs amount to liquid gold. Let's bring in Dr. Mike Weinstein. He is the Director of Sustainability at Southern New Hampshire University. Really appreciate you joining us today, Doctor. So we know AI data centers, they use a lot of electricity. This is something that we've heard a ton. Can you put into context, though, how much are we talking and what that does to the environment?
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited to talk about that. So the latest numbers that we have from 2024 from the International Energy Agency showed that in that year, the data centers used about 460 terawatts of electricity. That might not mean a lot right now, but their projections are that that should probably double to about 1,000 by 2030 and reach somewhere around 1,300 terawatts by 2035. So we're looking at more than double the electricity demand for data centers globally within the next 9 or 10 years, if those predictions hold true.
Just to follow up there, because I'm not an electricity expert. When you say, those numbers of terawatts, I've seen some figures out there of in 2024, that was 4% of total electricity usage in the U.S. It could get up to as much as like 6 to 12%. Just kind of give the context of how big that number actually is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's substantial, right? So if we look at that 460 terawatt hours, that's somewhere between 4 and 5% of the entire U.S. electricity mix, like you'd said, and in some cases, given those estimates, somewhere up to about maybe cresting 6%. And so within the next few years, what we're going to see is a substantial portion of that electricity grid, globally and within the United States, reach those higher numbers, reach those double-digit numbers. So we'd be looking at, anywhere from 12% to more of our entire U.S. electricity generation going specifically to those data centers.
All right. So one of the questions that I have has to do with the amount of water that it will take to run these data centers. And in my mind, this sort of goes. There's a large question about climate change and how climate is affecting water across the country, across the world. And now we're talking about an enormous amount of water that's needed to power these data plants. Do we have access to that amount of water? I mean, in an environment where oftentimes people don't even have access to clean water just outside of the United States, but even some places in the United States, like in Michigan, for example.
Yeah, the water story about AI is actually really interesting. And so the latest UN University report that I just saw did say that they had an estimate that, again, if we follow current trends, that by 2030, around that same time, we're looking for thousands of terawatt hours being used globally. That the water footprint for AI globally could equal the water needs of about 1.3 billion people in sub-Saharan Africa. So we're talking about a tremendous water draw. The nuance there is that the water is for different things. A lot of times what we hear about is the water being used to cool the AI data centers. And while that is the case, particularly in water-stressed areas like the American Southwest, where we're seeing those data centers being built domestically, anywhere from 70 to 75%, so up to 3/4 of the water that's being used for AI in those data centers is being used for that electrical generation. So it really still remains a story about how we're getting the electricity to power this AI infrastructure in these data centers. That's really what the water impact means.
It's a really interesting context, Dr. Weinstein. Though I will also say the amount that we use when it comes to showers is a lot more. There's different areas to scale back. Dr. Weinstein, thank you so much for joining us.